Thank you. My name is Didar Singh. I'm Secretary General of Ficci, and it's a proud moment for us to be here today, and thank all of you to be with us on this momentous occasion, because in fact this is a very special
Thank you. We are honored to have amidst us Commissioner Ajit Pai from USA.
Where I made Sholay. And as he said, today I can do that without taking the 500 odd days over almost 2 years that it took at that time to make this film. Most of it would be done in their studios with their technology, taking it to even more unusual heights. All I would like to say, of course, is it's that in cinema, it's that blend of technology and content that once it comes together in the right way, paves the way for something fantastic. We're all set. As you can see, the session has set the stage for a another great three-day session where we'll exchange ideas, exchange information, learn a little more. We know a lot has to be done in every field to take it further. We're all very charged, and everyone here will hopefully go back more insightful after the 3 days. And we welcome all views on the sessions itself so that we can keep improving. And I would like to just do my duty, humble duty, and thank all these wonderful people who have joined us today. My most sincere thanks to Mr. Ajit Pai, Commissioner FCC, whose first visit it is to Ficci. Your words were very enlightening, and again, another power-packed performance from you, I must say. Very well put. It definitely is, we all look forward to much more of your inputs during the course of the conference. Thanks to Australia and His Excellency Patrick Suckling, Australian High Commissioner to India. We value your partnership, your participation, and we look forward to forging strong ties with you. We already have some, and we'll create some more for the future. I think Australia and India are set for something much more than what it is today, definitely. Thank you, Shri Bimal Julka ji, Secretary, Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. Your vision was enlightening, and we look forward to your leadership. All that you have said today, things that have been set into motion, will certainly go a long way in easing the way forward for all forms of media and entertainment. And whatever you have said today is very encouraging, and we hope it gets into action pretty fast. Thank you so much. And of course, I have to thank my boss, Mr. Uday Shankar. He steers the whole thing, and of course the entire Ficci team, as he himself put it, under Leena Jaisani. Ficci Frames is her baby. She does all this so well, puts it all together, and that's why we are all here again for another wonderful session. Thank you, but I've already thanked at the beginning. Thank you, Mr. Srivatsa. I also thank all the speakers in advance, all the speakers, partners, audiences, representatives from far-flung nations for being with us and making Ficci Frames a glittering, successful and fruitful amalgamation of ideas and businesses. And thanks to all our supporters and sponsors for their efforts towards making our vision a reality.
Thank you.
So I really don't know, but don't worry, it could be happening. Thank you. Okay. The last one for all that. A question. As we see media reaching deeper and deeper parts of the country or hinterland or many comes to it, how do you see what is relevant to them evolving? Or is it just strictly translation of what's happening in areas or just translating, generic stuff? How do you see what they evolving and how do you see media evolving in areas? They are in a position of other India.
An actor on stage. While you settle down, Rajiv, thank you for making the films you make, Rakesh ji. And that's a thank you note for you out of the way. Farhan, one question for you. You make great films, you act in them, you host TV shows, you script them, you produce films. Is there anything that you don't do?
I don't do lunch at 1:30.
Oh, damn. Let's quickly get on with the session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Our session today is, of course, is on biopics, or biographical pictures, and Farhan and Rakesh are, of course, the best people to talk about that. Having made Bhag Milka Bhag, a hugely successful film, but also a film that touched the country's heart, really, touched people's hearts. It's a film that's reached out. It's a film that, that took the story of our national hero, Milka Singh, to the people. I'd like to start, Farhan, by talking to you about, or both of you actually. The film has now won several awards, Farhan. Your performance in the film has been widely appreciated. Rakesh, it's a film that people have appreciated across the world, really. It's unfair to say just in India. I want you to go back a little bit and perhaps tell us about the first time that you saw, or the both of you saw Farhan as Milka Singh on the set. Can you just sort of take a trip down memory lane and tell us what that was like first?
I remember, of course, after all the work that went into physically becoming like Milka Singh, Rakesh had already reached location. We were shooting at Firozpur, and he had reached there many days before me. And I had met him, but I'd never met him in the avatar that I was supposed to meet him on set on. So he had not seen that. And they were there, they were preparing they were shooting actually with the child for the first 2-3 days. So I hardly ever got to meet Rakesh. And then the day that I was supposed to shoot, we were doing the scene. when Milkha ji returns to his village and he goes on the bike. So that was the first day. And I arrived in the full look of Rakesh, and he just looked at me and he said, "Are, do Milkha." That's exactly his reaction to what happened when he saw me. But I think I don't know, it's difficult for me to say how intense the metamorphosis was, because I was living with it every single day. You know, but probably Rakesh.
Perhaps Rakesh, you can shed some light on what that moment was like, and for yourself and for the unit who had been preparing for that day, I'm guessing.
Fantastic.
It was, you'd obviously seen him at rehearsals, at costume trials.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe these moments.
Right.
You kind of kill them. Obviously, emotionally, it was right out there. It was one of my finest moments in my career. But to give it an adjective or a verb would really kill it. I think it was, like Farhan said, what really came out of my heart was, "Arey, do Milkha Singh."
Right.
So, it didn't start there actually, that moment, though we like to hear about the first day. It started almost 8 months to 1 year before that, when Farhan started getting under the skin of the character, getting the physicality out, and then getting into the emotional kind of a quotient. And then it carried on for another year. So like 18 months to 2 years of living this character. And for me, living in the 1950s and reliving partition, all that. So we were in that kind of, and fortunately for us, we were out of Bombay.
Right.
We were in areas which are like Firozpur, which is right on the border, where a lot happened, Patiala, Punjab. So that kind of worked out here.
Rakesh, we've read interviews and we've read profiles of Milkha Singh over the years. It is of course a fascinating life story. When yourself and your writer Prasoon Joshi were setting out to put this story into script, was it hard, and how did you decide what to keep and what to leave out? Because it's really an exciting and a huge life story, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. It was not what we will put in the film. The decisions are what we will not. So I remember when I first read the autobiography. It was in Gurmukhi. It was translated in Hindi for me. What really I connected with was the partition of India,
Right.
Milkha as a kid, and then his spirit, and then him making a life for himself, making a name for the country, and then losing the Rome Olympics medal. So these two things got me, so I immediately got to meet him in Chandigarh. We fixed an appointment and spent a good 3 days with him. And when he was speaking about himself, I had just gone to meet him. One hadn't decided that one can still commit to a film.
Right.
And when he spoke, it was very moving when he spoke about the massacre of his family. As a kid of 12 years old, seeing the massacre of his mother, father, sisters, brothers, the whole village at last. And then he carried on, and then again, it was a moving moment for him when he spoke about dropping the Rome Olympics medal. So somewhere the story started forming in my head, and biopics could be the wrong term when we bring personalities on screen, because it is not a documentary.
Right.
We don't talk about he was born here and he lives there. You take the essence of his life. So for me, it was always, the film had to start in Rome Olympics. He had to look back and see his tortured childhood. And the film would end with, he's running in Lahore. which was sequentially wrong because Lahore was before Rome.
Right.
So we actually inversed it. And this time when he looks, he sees his smiling childhood. So it was an interpretation is not to run away from your demons, but kind of run along with them. And so that was the crux of the story.
Right. Farhan, you were of course aware before you were cast that Rakesh had really done this sort of casting, put out this casting net. There were several actors he had thought of and spoken to, and he has in fact spoken about how he was looking internationally to see whether there was perhaps an actor he could cast. When you were finally cast, or when when it was decided that you will do it, what was the point at which you were convinced, perhaps in your own head, that you could be Milkha Singh? Because you have in fact spoken also about how there was a degree of skepticism when you were cast. There were people who were unsure whether...
Of course. I think it was unusual casting. Why Rakesh arrived at it, I think he's best suited to answer. In my capacity, of course, it's a project that I knew existed. It's something that I knew Rakesh Mehra as a director was wanting to make for a while. When he met me, there's something, I think he's put it very correctly in his answer as to why he chose to do the film. What was it about this man that we felt could reach out to people, inspire them in no matter what they do. Sure. And I mean, I don't know if somebody truly, after witnessing the death of your family in front of your eyes, can it be worse for anyone as a starting point?
Right.
So if he can find the will and the determination to move on, to go back to a place that he considered does not want him, for them to accept him, and for life to come full circle, just out of his determination and his hard work and his belief in himself, that would be a very inspirational message for people. That's what I connected to when Rakesh told me the story of the film. And I feel all of us have the same aspirations. We don't have the same, maybe the same level of personal issues that he may have had. But we have different issues. They could be emotional, they could be social, they could be whatever. But all of us want to find a way to move on from it. And I think this film touches upon that very beautifully, where it gives you a sense that it is possible that no matter how difficult it is, that it still is within you. You have the capability to forgive, most importantly, and to move on to something that's a happier place to be in. So that's what connected with me as a message.
Right. To both of you, I interviewed Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese while they were promoting their film, The Wolf of Wall Street, and they said something interesting. Leonardo DiCaprio spoke about how while he chose to spend a lot of time with Jordan Belfort, the man, the penny stockbroker on whose debauched lifestyle the film is based, he said he chose to spend a lot of time with him so he could understand the person, understand how the reaction to drugs, and really get a sense of the man and what he stood for. Scorsese chose intentionally to disassociate with himself and even met Jordan Belfort much later because he wanted an outsider, almost an objective perspective to the story. Do you feel perhaps, Rakesh, that a little distance from the subject would have yielded a different film?
There are no rules out here.
Right.
As many filmmakers, as many actors, there are as many routes, and you have your own way of getting into a process, like anything else we do in life, and you come out with the beauty is that the answers are not predictable, which is amazing about any effort, that they are always unpredictable, and I think that's what keeps us going. And there is a dream, of course, and how you fill color into it is a different thing. So here, on the contrary, I spend a lot of time with Milkha Singh, essentially because I had to imbibe what he was,
right,
and then leave it to Farhan to interpret it in his own way, because I would never interfere with him or any actor as to how they see the character and what they bring on the table. But it was very important for me to know that their interpretation is within the whole universe we are creating,
Right.
and not creating another universe altogether.
The fear perhaps with having very little distance from the subject is that it might turn out to be too reverential a biopic, and that there may be a lack of objectivity. Was that a fear that you ever had, or?
I don't know. I don't analyze things. Okay. I normally work instinctively. I always think if you're standing in front of the refrigerator and you're thinking you're hungry or not, you're not. So why think about it?
Right. Okay. Okay. Farhan, you've spoken. I remember you telling me that one of your favorite films is Raging Bull, which is in fact another biopic story of the pugilist Jake LaMotta. You've said in fact that that's a film that helped you immensely while you were preparing to play Milkha Singh. Can you perhaps articulate how?
Well, just
it's a widely different life.
बायोपिक जो मूवी आपने बनाई थी भाग मिल्खा भाग के बारे में बहुत सारे सवाल है, लोगों के दिल के सवाल है, आपने सबका आंसर किया। ये सेशन कैसा था आप दोनों के लिए?
मतलब अच्छा था, एक दिलचस्पी है लोगों को इस फिल्म में, सिनेमा में, और मतलब बहुत अलग अलग देशों से भी लोग आए हैं, तो जानना चाहते हैं कि ये फिल्म जिन लोगों ने बनाई है उनके मन में क्या चल रहा था, किस मकसद से उन्होंने ये कहानी बनाई। तो बहुत अच्छा लगा कि एक और मौका हमें मिला साथ में एक मंच पर बैठकर इस फिल्म के बारे में बात करने के लिए।
फिक्की की बात करो तो आप किस तरह देखते हो? वो मिल खा लेंगे ना, फिक्की की बात करें।
सर ये बहुत ही एक इम्पॉर्टेंट प्लेटफॉर्म है, और एक है जो पिछले 15 सालों से मतलब लगातार अलग दूसरे इंडस्ट्रीज़ के लिए तो है ही, मतलब फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के लिए भी बहुत मतलब कुछ अच्छा काम किया जा रहा है। तो वी आर हियर टू सपोर्ट देम इन विच एवर वे दे वांट, एंड दे आर हियर टू सपोर्ट अस व्हेन वी नीड इट, सो आई एम वेरी हैप्पी टू बी हियर।
जैसे फरहान आपको बता ही चुके हैं कि ये जो फोरम्स होते हैं और प्लेटफॉर्म होते हैं ये बहुत ज़रूरी होते हैं, क्योंकि विचारों का आदान प्रदान होता है, और विचार ही ऐसी चीज़ है जो देश को प्रगति के मार्ग पे लेके जाता है। वहीं से सब शुरू होता है, जिसको आइडिएशन बोलते हैं। आप इतने लोगों को सुनते हैं, इतने सक्सेसफुल लोग आते हैं अलग अलग इंडस्ट्रीज से, तो कहीं ना कहीं उनकी कहानियाँ सुन के कि उन्होंने क्या किया, कैसे किया, क्यों किया, वो आपके साथ जुड़ता है, फिर आपको उससे और अच्छा लगता है आगे चल के उसको अपनी लाइफ में लागू करने। तो ये फिक्की का ये प्लेटफॉर्म मेरे ख्याल से बढ़ता ही चला जा रहा है इम्पोर्टेंस में, और जहाँ से शुरू हुआ था आज बहुत बड़ा हो गया, और आगे चल के मैं तो चाहूँगा कि एक वर्ल्ड प्लेटफॉर्म बने हिंदुस्तान से।
राकेश, इसके बाद आपकी कौन सी फिल्म आ रही है जिसके लिए आप कुछ बताएंगे इसके बारे में?
वो बाद में बात करेंगे अलग से।
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Friends, it's lovely. Today I think we're going to have a major gossip session with all the girls.
Why only females invited?
Because y'all anyway accuse us of gossiping, so we said we'll keep y'all out of it. It's a gossip session on a Sunday afternoon.
किस तरह की gossip? What is the topic of the discussion?
वो बाद में आपको बताएंगे. Actually आपको बताएंगे नहीं. Keep guessing.
किसी कोई और एक gossip जिस पे आप डिस्कस करना चाहें आज, जितनी भी फीमेल फ्रेंड्स आपके आ रहे हैं, कोई एक शादी के साइड इफेक्ट पे डिस्कशन हो कुछ?
शादी के साइड इफेक्ट से ही शुरुआत होगी और ख़त्म भी वही होगी बात। बीच में बहुत और कुछ बात करेंगे।
अच्छा, इफेक्ट्स क्या क्या होते हैं आप बता दो आप।
मैं तो हमेशा कहती रहती हूँ कि शादी के पॉजिटिव साइड इफेक्ट्स हैं। ये really depends on how you look at it. If you're in love, then you find the side effects positive. If you're not, then God help you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your summer.
Yeah.